Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tech TLDR. It's been a few days since I last talked to you guys, and a lot has happened since. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about the SN10 from SpaceX, what's going to be happening with the SN11 in the next few coming days. I have news about that. We're also going to talk a few other things about regarding SpaceX and some other stuff like that. If you want to know everything, be sure to stick through the whole episode. Be sure to drop a like on the video as always. But let's get into this. So last time I talked to you guys was a few days ago. The episode was about the space hotel and that whole endeavor that's going to be taking place. SpaceX will be a part of that. But since then, the SN10 finally did its launch. On the day of the launch, it actually was about to launch, and then they had to postpone it for clearance reasons, and then it was finally set to go again. So it launched towards the end of its window, and when it did, it landed. It was surprisingly landed. I was actually really uncertain about it landing. I didn't think it was going to. I thought there was still a few more things they had to work out. I was wrong. They landed it. However, the SN10 is no longer with us. If you didn't watch the entire video, the SN10 actually exploded about 8 minutes after it landed. SpaceX has yet to confirm why that was. However, if we watch the replays and the videos of what happened right here, which I have, something interesting happens. So you can see right here, as it's coming down to land, the engines, there's a whole fire in the engine bay. And if you actually watch the launch itself, the liftoff, as it was going up, when one of the engines turned off when it was hovering, the same thing happened. A fire came from the engine bay. But the good news is that it happened before the landing. So we know that the landing itself wasn't the problem. You know, that's a good sign because it's not like the landing itself was too rough or anything like that. Something beforehand happened with these Raptor engines. Don't forget that the static fires sometimes cause damage to these Raptor engines. They did have to do a swap for one of them. So I'm curious as to what went on underneath regarding that whole process. If you guys have any insights or ideas, let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk about that. But ultimately, that led to the SN10's demise, was that. I thought we were going to see possibly another SN10 launch. You know, we saw it land. I was like, hey, maybe we'll see another SN10 launch. We'll have to wait a little bit for the SN11. Yeah, it ain't happening. There's no more SN10. But we have the SN11 coming up next, and I have good news regarding that. So we go on Cameron County's website. We can see here Monday, March 8th, that 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. there's going to be road closures, but the beach will remain open. So what does that mean? It means that there's going to be a large movement on the roads for SpaceX. By large, I mean large objects, which would only be the SN11. So the SN11 on Monday will be moving to its launch pad as long as everything is all right, as long as everything for SpaceX's engineer team, they say that it's good to go. We know that this can't be any sort of test because, for one, the window is too short. From 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., there's no sort of testing going on that would have like thrusters, anything like that, the engine's going. And also, the road is closed, but not the beach. So locals can go to the beach, but they just can't drive on the road. This is the SN11 moving to its new place. Hopefully it learned a lesson from watching the SN10, and it won't repeat that mistake. And again, in the comments, let me know, do you think SN11 is going to stick the landing? I think now that we saw the SN10 do the landing. It was a really good landing too. I will say that it didn't look like it got lucky or anything like that. It was a really controlled landing at the end, much better than the SN9 did. So much better than the SN9. So how do you guys think the SN11 will face up against that? Now, more news coming from SpaceX. They successfully launched and landed another Falcon 9 with more of the Starlink satellites, another 60 going into orbit. They successfully landed the booster, unlike last time, which if you missed that, last time they did this, the booster completely missed the landing drone. Reasons were supposedly that they didn't want to hurt the seagulls that were on the drone ship. Another reason was that they uploaded Starship software to the booster itself. Either way, it didn't make the landing. The most recent one did, and apparently that was the 8th landing of that booster. So that gives you guys some insight about the Starships. Just remember a few years ago, they couldn't even land a single booster one time. Now they've done it 8 times with one booster. Give it a few years, guys. SpaceX is going to be the biggest space company. The Starship is going to be revolutionary to humankind. Also, Starship's already confirmed an actual mission with a Japanese multi-millionaire, maybe billionaire. I forget his name, Yasuga. And he's actually allowing random citizens to go on this trip with him. There's about 8 people in total, including him. You can sign up to do that. There is a contest if you're interested in trying to get on the Starship and go to space and hopefully not get blown up. I would look into that if I was you. It's pretty cool. Speaking of more SpaceX launches, coming up by March 8th and 9th, another mission of Starlinks is going off for the Falcon 9. SpaceX, they're not taking a break with these Starlinks. They want to get those up as soon as possible. They want to get that high-speed internet. They want that cash flow for the business. So the sooner they have that money coming in, the residual income from the internet service they're going to be providing, the quicker they're going to have Starships coming out. They're going to have better manufacturing processes. Who knows what else they'll have besides Starship? They may unveil an entirely different ship for all we know. Also, more space news, spacewalking right now on the International Space Station. They were doing power upgrades and other various tasks along the ISS. It's not the most exciting news, but I figured, hey, yeah, I got to break off the SpaceX for a little bit. You know what I mean? I can't just focus on SpaceX. They're cool, they're great, but there's other things going on. Oh, and this is the last thing I wanted to show you guys and talk about, coming from Space Padre Isle. Look at this photo. This is in SpaceX, where they're launching the vehicle that will hopefully get us to the moon and Mars. Next to it is a self-driving car, and going towards the self-driving car is an autonomous dog robot. This is the future. This is pretty wild. Within a decade, your car is going to drive you around. There's going to be robotic dogs all over the place. Not just dogs. There's going to be much more sophisticated robot technology in our day-to-day lives. That's inevitable. Especially in projects like this. This robo-dog can go to the SN10 crash before any humans can to make sure that everything is ready for people to go and remove components so that we can do more launches. This is like what I was talking about in a previous episode. The robotics in space is necessary because they can do so much more that a human can't, specifically just for the safety reasons. It's just not safe to have humans in a lot of these conditions. And this little robot right here, Boston Dynamics, they're going to be a big player in that industry, I would guarantee. If you watch the robots dance, I mean, if they can make robots dance better than I can dance, that's a scary thing. Now, if you like this video, this content, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. This is all I have for you guys in this episode. Be sure to leave a comment, some questions, concerns, anything you want to talk about. I love to talk with you guys down there. Either way, make sure you guys have a good one.